Hi, this is Roger. In this video, I would like to demonstrate how to create and submit the U-Travel Trust application through our website on jackskids.org. Uh, I'm on the website now and I go to the Funding Opportunities button at the top center. And once I've clicked that, I see the U-Travel Trust Fund section, online application and instructions. I click that option and that takes me to the page where we have some information, including the link to the application. We've got some guidelines, some other information on completing the application. So let's go straight to the application, and I click that link. That will take me to the begin page for the 17-18 fiscal year. I see that this is the Youth Travel Trust Fund for this fiscal year. My opportunity manager who will process the application would be Ruth Waters. And here's another link to the application if you need to paste that in somewhere. The total amount for this fiscal year is $40,794. Let me say that if you're about to submit an application, you probably want to check with Ruth first and confirm how much is still available, and she would be able to assist you with that information. The submission open date will be October 1st, 2017, and that will run through August 1st, 2018. The reason that it ends prior to the end of the fiscal year, which of course would be the last day of September, is that it takes a few weeks for these to be processed. They have to go before the board of directors, and there are a number of reviews that have to take place. So we don't want someone submitting the application online, say on September 27th. There wouldn't be enough time to complete the application's review process. And by the way, the travel event must take place in the fiscal year when you're submitting this. So you couldn't wait until the fiscal year begins for the 18-19 period and submit a request for travel that occurred in the 17-18 fiscal year. Again, going back to Ruth Waters, if you have any further questions on those types of issues, here we do have some basic eligibility information, which I'll let you read there. And we also have a link back to our website and the page we use to navigate to this application. So let's assume that you get here and okay, and everything is in order. You're ready to submit an application. That supposes that you have pre-registered. If you click apply and you have not registered, you'll have the opportunity to do so at that point. I'm going to click the apply button, and here you see registration if you need to do that. This is my test account, and I'm going to use that for this video. Get my password in there, and I log in. And it's going to take us a moment to get into the system. And of course, you'd want to have all of your documentation ready before you begin this process. You will be required to upload certain documents that we'll see, and there are going to be 3 forms associated with the Youth Travel Trust application. And this Amplifund software will step us through each of those. And so we're into the system now, and this is the same page we saw just a moment ago, but now I'm logged in. You see that I'm in the system now as my test account. I'm going to click apply again, and it brings up the beginning of the application. And you'll see that there are multiple steps here. We're at the beginning. Each time we complete one, we'll get a check mark. You see a save and continue button. At the bottom, it's important. Once you complete each of these pages, you want to mark it as complete. The purpose for that is to allow you the option to save, log out, and log back in at another point in time and continue. But once you mark a page as complete, then you'll progress through these steps. So I confirm I am in the right application, Youth Travel Trust Fund 17 and 18. That's correct. In this test example, I'm going to request $1,000, which will be 25% of the overall cost. In this example scenario, let's use a total travel cost of $4,000. $1,000 being requested, and this field will represent 25% of that total cost. I confirm that I have correct information loaded up here. That looks good. And now I'm going to mark this as complete and then save and continue. Now it says mark as not complete. I could change that designation if I needed to. So I've now completed the project information. It knows who I am and the amount that I want to request. And I have to begin the 3 application forms here. And we see those listed here: U Travel Trust Fund eligibility screening, the budgetary information, and the application itself. And I do have the ability to print these if necessary. So I'm going to click the first one, U Travel Trust Fund eligibility screening. And you see it takes me to an input screen for this information. So let's step through this. In some instances on this video, I'll put in just some simulated information, some test information, and others I'll try to be explicit enough so that you get the idea. Name of organization, of course, that's going to be your official organization's name. We'll just put in something here, Rogers Test Org, and 1095 HP Randolph is what I'll use here. So this would be your official address, and you can put same as above if the mailing address is in fact the same. The name of director, we're just going to say test. Telephone number, I'm just going to put in something here. And we'll put in a simulated fax number as well. Is the organization an outside school-related organization which exists and operates to provide support for school activities? I'll say yes. Is the organization tax exempt under Section 501c3 of the Federal Internal Revenue Code? We'll say yes. And then it's going to ask us to attach a copy of the organization's letter of exemption from the IRS and any amendments that may be applicable. So let me choose a file. I'm going to go to my desktop, and just to demonstrate, I have a test document here as a Word document. Now you see that that has been loaded. Okay, so we'll continue on. Is the organization a not-for-profit corp chartered by the Secretary of State under Part 1, Chapter 617? In this time, I'll say no to this one, and therefore I do not need to upload a file. And it continues on. If your organization is not a 501c3, we've said ours is, so we're going to say no to this. Does the organization operate in Duval County? We'll say yes. Has the organization existed at least 1 year? Yes. Does the organization have a membership policy open to as large a percentage of the public as possible, subject to non-discriminatory conditions and qualifications for membership? Yes. And we will upload the copy of the eligibility for that. So we're going to use just the same test document to simulate this, and I'll continue on. Has the organization received a special invitation recognizing and resulting from an exemplary achievement of performance? Yes. I'll point out here that you have to have a special invitation to qualify for the Travel Trust. And if you have questions about that, is the invitation that you've received formal enough to be used here, you can contact Ruth Waters before you begin this process. So let's say that you've concluded that you do have an appropriate invitation, then we'll attach it. Number 9, can the organization document that 75% of the organization's revenue, the planned travel, is derived from sources other than the Travel Trust Fund? We'll say yes, and then you would be uploading a document to show where that 75% is derived from. Moving on, has the organization been a past recipient of the Travel Trust Fund grant? In this case, I have used this account before, so I'll say yes. And if yes, has the organization submitted all required documentation or reports from previous YTT funded trips? Yes, we have. Organizations requesting funding after the proposed travel has occurred must explain why the request could not be made earlier and why U-Travel Trust funds are still needed, given that funds from other sources have already been utilized. That's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you're requesting this after the travel has occurred, you're going to have to explain that, and you would do so here. I'm going to say that our travel has not yet occurred. Entering your name and the date below serves as your digital signature. So I'm going to put that in, and we're going to say today's date would be our appropriate date, and I'll mark as complete. Success on the eligibility screening form. Now, let me point out, if I had missed a required field, I'd get a red box. It would tell me which one was missed. I could scroll up, complete the field that I missed, come down and mark as complete. But in this case, I got everything there, so I'm going to save and continue. It takes me to the budget information for the Travel Trust, which is Form 203. So I'm going to begin to complete this. Jacksonville Children's Commission, dollars obtained or committed. So we're going to say that, again, we're requesting $1,000, and that will be 25%. And you see, if you just put in the 2.5, it'll make that 2,500 or 2,500%. So you need to put the decimal 0.25 to get 25%. Other city funds obtained. We'll say that there are none from the city. So I'm going to say 0, 0, 0, and that would be 0%. Federal state funds, I'll say that we do not have any federal or state funds. And I'll continue on. Now we'll say that there are other funders. So I'll say test organization, and that they gave us $3,000, which represents 75%. There are no other funders. It's just the other test organization in this case. For a travel event that was $4,000, $3,000 came from this other organization, and $1,000, of course, came from or is being requested from the Jacksonville Children's Commission. So you get the idea, hopefully, there. And these other funding sources, if your 75% was an aggregate of multiple sources, you have plenty of fields to show that. Now we get down to our total funds, $4,000. And we enter that, and then expenditures. So let's say that our travel is $2,000, our meals is $1,000, and our lodging is $1,000, and that covers everything. And our total expenses, again, $4,000. Funds requested from the commission, $1,000. We'll say travel expenses as an example. Results of and benefits of travel, and you can put in the description of what the benefits are for your youth that are involved in this event. Okay, so we've completed the form. Again, we're breaking that down. $1,000 being requested from JCC. We're showing $3,000 from another funder, and for a total of $4,000. We show what the expenditures are for travel, meals, lodging. If there's other, you have a place to put that. And I think we've got everything completed here. I'm going to mark as complete. Successfully completed this portion of the form, and very good. So we'll save and continue. And if I scroll up, you see that we're still in application forms 3 of 3. All right, so we get down here, and this is the actual application completion form. It gives us some information. The maximum allocation per request is $25,000 or 25% of the total travel of the cost, whichever is less. And so we're going to continue on here. For the amount requested is $1,000. The requested funding will be used to travel to, we'll say, New York. And the purpose of the travel for, I'll just put in test, and you can explain the purpose there. We'll say our travel date is happening in the future. We're going to request this money before we make the travel event happen. And we'll have them moving through, it looks like Thanksgiving there. A number of youth making the trip, let's say 3. And important payment and terms guidelines. Expenditures and disbursements must be properly documented and supported by receipts, invoices, canceled checks, and or other information as required by the Commission. Financial reports with all supporting documentation from the recipient shall be due to the Commission within 90 days of completion of the travel. So if I'm doing this in the end of November, December, January, so by the end of February, I will have submitted all of that to the Commission. I'm going to mark this as complete, and we will continue on. Save and continue from the top works as well. And now then, proposed budget. So although the proposed budget shows zeros across the board here, that's okay, and we will be able to save and continue. Let's mark it as complete and then move on. Proposed performance plans, that too would not be applicable to the Youth Travel Trust Fund, and so we're going to mark that as complete and save and continue. Now then, we get to the end of the application process. You are about to submit your application, Youth Travel Trust Fund 1718 to the Jacksonville Children's Commission. This will still be applicable even after the reorganization for the Kids Hope Alliance Reform Act. We will take the time to review the application. You can go back and click various circles here to review those documents again. When the application is fully completed and you're satisfied that you have all your documents in there and everything is correct, then we will submit or click the submit button, which is what I'm going to do now. And success, you have submitted the application. Download your complete application by selecting the applications button below. And so if we do that, we can see the application, and we can make an electronic copy of that. It shows up as a zip form. I'm not going to open that right now. And you can also go back and print. I'm going to click exit at this point. And it shows that the Youth Travel Trust Fund has been submitted. You see the submission status. That's very important. And if you want to go back into it from this point, I can click the link again right here. And I can go back and review all of the various applications, the forms on the application, I should say. And that would take us back and let us see these individually. I can print them at that point and have a record as well. So everything looks good at this stage. I'm going to log out and point out that you should receive an email receipt. Let me go over to my account here, and sure enough, there it is. You need to make sure that you receive this, and I would print this or save this off. That's going to give us a receipt on the applicant's side that tells us a date and time when this was received. Remember that Ruth Waters is your opportunity manager. You can verify any information that you need to with her and ask her various questions and so forth, and as this moves through the review process and the money is dispersed. So that is the complete explanation of how to request the Youth Travel Trust Fund through the Jacksonville Children's Commission. And I hope this has been informative. My name is Roger Belcher, and Ruth Waters is your opportunity manager. Thank you.